Part 3. The third key requirement is to meet the monitoring and reporting requirements, and this slide provides an overview of these. As you can see, all partnerships are required to submit their progress and final reports by the corresponding deadlines, which are shown here and are also included in your grant agreement. We will provide you with more information about how to complete the reports before the relevant deadlines. You should ensure that you read the guidance carefully, include all the relevant information, and submit your report on time. The 2011 call templates are not available yet, but in the meantime you can have a look at the previous versions of the progress and final reports, which are available in the grant management and reporting section of the Grundtvig and Leonardo websites. We're not expecting any changes to these documents. We will also contact some projects to arrange a progress call approximately every 6 months. The purpose of these calls is to see how the project is progressing against its objectives, to answer any questions you may have, and to offer support where needed. It is also an opportunity for us to gather examples of good practice and case studies. In addition, we are required by the European Commission to conduct monitoring visits on 10% of partnerships at some point during the life of the project. We may choose to visit projects that we think could benefit from some additional support, or particularly successful projects, in order to gather examples of good practice. Either way, you should see these visits as an opportunity to showcase your success and access direct support if you need it. We are also required to conduct on-the-spot checks on 1% of partnerships, and these are selected at random. If you are selected for an on-the-spot check, we will let you know in advance, and we will ask to see evidence that the required mobilities and project activities have taken place. Finally, we are required to conduct paper audits or desk checks on 10% of partnerships at the final report stage, and these are also selected at random. If we contact you to arrange a progress call, a monitoring visit, an on-the-spot check or a desk check, we will explain what additional information we need in advance. We then expect you to cooperate with us in making the necessary practical arrangements and provide any information or evidence we request within the required timescales. In addition to submitting your progress and final reports by the deadlines, you must also ensure that you include sufficient information to allow us to make a meaningful assessment of your project. In your progress and final reports, you will need to include the following types of information: details of the number of staff, learners or trainees from your organisation who have been involved with the project at a local level and in the mobilities, information about the project activities undertaken both at a partnership level and by your own organisation, including details of any local activities undertaken by your organisation, details of the transnational mobilities your organisation has completed and who was involved, details of any communication, evaluation and dissemination activities, and information about any significant changes from the original application form. You will also need to report on the outcomes or products of the partnership, and we will ask you to send us some examples of these. Finally, you will be asked to comment on the impact the project has had on the participants, on your organisation as a whole, and on the local community. If you haven't already done so, it's a good idea to think about how you will capture this information as part of your evaluation activities. You will not be asked to provide a financial breakdown of how you've spent the grant, either in the reports, during audits, monitoring activities, or at any other time. Whilst we don't require you to keep any receipts or breakdown of expenditure, we may want to see evidence that the required number of eligible mobilities have taken place and that you are achieving the objectives of your project. Therefore, you must ensure that you keep the following documents in case you are ever audited. For each mobility undertaken by your organisation, you must keep original boarding passes or tickets for both the outward and return journeys, and/or signed certificates of attendance issued by the host partner. To be safe, we would recommend that you keep both types of evidence wherever possible. There is no specific format for a certificate of attendance. However, as a minimum, you should include the following type of information: the project title, the participant's name, the name and location of the host organisation, and the start and end dates of the visit. They should also be signed in original by the head of your partner organisation. You must also keep proof that the project objectives have been achieved. The specific evidence you keep will depend on the objectives of your project. However, some examples could include copies of meeting minutes, agendas from workshops or dissemination events, copies of any outputs produced, press releases or newspaper cuttings, copies of evaluation questionnaires or summaries, and screenshots of your project website. It is important to remember that you could be audited up to 5 years after the project has ended, so you should ensure that you keep all this evidence together in a project file until then.